News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. Hour number 3. My gosh. Wow. That went fast. Here we are in the third hour of the show. And in just a moment, we're going to get into Americans stressed out about politics may skip Thanksgiving. I mean, my gosh. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, a little bit more on the subway death of Jordan Neely, a 42-time convicted felon or 42-time arrestee, including violent felonies and such. He had schizophrenia, sickle cell anemia, and was a chronic abuser of synthetic marijuana. Do you know that the toxicology, the medical examiner in New York City, she ruled this death a homicide by strangulation or something of that nature. You know what she did? She ruled the cause of death and released her report, her medical examiner's report, without getting the toxicology reports back. So this is just like St. George fentanyl, blessed be his name, or St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, where he had enough fentanyl in his system. In this case, it's K2, but St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, had enough fentanyl in his system that more than kills an average junkie in a Florida study. Florida University, one of the major ones there, did a study, and the average junkie dies at about nanograms per milliliter of fentanyl, and St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, had 0.11 nanograms per milliliter of fentanyl. So he had more than the average junkie that dies from that level in his system. And they say, oh, no, it had nothing to do with that. Oh, no. In this case, it seems like the same thing. I mean, how could you possibly release a death certificate or a cause of death without getting the toxicology reports back? It's ridiculous. Is there no such thing as drug overdoses? So you have that. You have the fact that Jordan Neely had a pulse when he was released, and the cops could have and were going to do CPR, but they didn't have a dental dam, and they also gave him Narcan. So this is insane. I don't think there's any way in an average Texas jury that he would be convicted. I think he would be acquitted. I think it'd be tossed out like ASAP if it even got indicted by a grand jury. That would even possibly unlikely. But the thing is, it's New York City. And the thing is that you can say, well, there's two hopes. There's hopes that the average person in New York City realizes how dangerous the subway is and realizes there's no protection and that we are each other's protection. And this is what happens when you don't have when you defund and dismantle police forces across the country and degrade them. They leave, they retire record numbers. Like the city of Dallas, we're under by about 1,000 or 1,400 cops right now. This is not an aberration. This is all over the country from the St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, riots and the BLM socialist Marxist stuff. So the people will still be paying the price for years and years and years to come, unfortunately, with this. But so the one track is to say that people say, well, we're not safe on the subway. We know this. This guy was protecting these folks. We're not going to convict him. But the other angle is Jordan Neely's black. What's his name? Daniel Penny is white. We're going to make this racial, like George Fentanyl. I don't know if that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't. But I don't trust a New York City jury much for any reason, especially with Donald J. Trump. They can convict him for some bogus thing. So I know this isn't that, but I'm telling you, I'm very worried. So the questions are on this. There's two questions I have for you on this. Number one is, do you think Daniel Penny is innocent of the charges? And number two, how do you think this New York City jury will rule? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Lines wide open. You can chime in right now. Do you think that Daniel Penny is innocent of the charges? And how do you think the jury will rule? And I think that's the problem. I don't have any faith in the jury. I'm sorry. I want to. But I think when I even hear people like that live in New York, like the people from the Five on Fox, they're like, yeah, well, they have this thinking that people are going to not convict him because even more so because they know it's real, what's happening, and this is a real threat. But I just don't, I have no faith, man, none. So I think that's the problem here, and I hope to God that he is acquitted, because if he's not, the message is clear. You must sit there and be a victim. You cannot defend yourself. The criminal has full reign on you. And that's a very scary feeling. 800-288-WBAP is our number. That's 800-288-9227. You know what else is scary? What's scary is seeing that Americans are actually considering or are canceling their Thanksgiving plans because of politics. This has to be the most ridiculous thing that I see. I'm not doubting this is happening, but I think it's so ridiculous and uncalled for. Brand new study comes out and says 64% of Americans feel the election-related stress is affecting their holiday plans. They surveyed people in all 50 states, found that 23% of respondents are considering skipping Thanksgiving altogether. A psychiatrist suggested there are ways to enjoy the holidays without letting politics interfere. Do you really need a psychiatrist to tell you how to enjoy holidays without this? I think if you need a psychologist to help you with this, you're the one that needs a psychiatrist, or not everybody else. If you're the one that's struggling, if you're going, I don't know if I can, then you need a psychiatrist. Yes, I support that. I'm 110% in doing that. I've seen folks over my life. I'm sure you're shocked about that. Any one of us that's on this side of the microphone has issues. Trust me on that. But, that sounded kind of scary. But, if you're letting this get in the way of your family, then you got a serious problem. A psychiatrist suggests there's ways to enjoy the holidays without letting politics interfere. He recommended setting a no politics rule in advance for Thanksgiving gatherings. That is what we only have, my whole family, my entire family. There's only one family that has that's the political leftists out there. And that's fine. And what's cool is way back when, like 3 or 4 or 5 holidays ago, I don't know, I just said, Christmas time or something, or Thanksgiving. I said, let's not talk about this. I don't want to get into it with you. They know how I know how they feel. I know they know how I feel, and vice versa. And so they've asked me questions sometimes, and I've obliged because it's innocuous. They're not trying to be a jerk about it. They're trying to understand me. It's kind of like the classic leftists I talk about. The classic leftists nowadays that are way out there. They want to go up to you and kind of poke you a little bit, like your roadkill, and say, "What is this? Oh, what is that?" And if it's innocuous like that, I don't mind that. Because I think it's disarming to them to show, dude, I'm not going to freak out here, So my question that I wanted to ask you on that is, are you ditching Thanksgiving this year because of political differences? Is this unhealthy to do, in your opinion? I hope you think it is. If we didn't do this for Joe Biden when he won, why would we need to do this for Trump? Isn't that a fair question? I mean, did you see any of this stuff with people not going to Thanksgiving or cutting people off over the holidays when Biden won? Did you see one article like that? I don't remember any. No, because there were no problems. We were not happy. We were glum for a week or 2 or longer, maybe, but you know what I mean. So this wasn't an issue 4 years ago. Why is it an issue now? Isn't that interesting? Because a lot of people might need to see a psychiatrist. If politics affects your personal relationships with people in your family, you have a serious problem. And then lastly, how are you dealing with political differences this Thanksgiving? What are you going to do? Are you ditching Thanksgiving? Are some of the people that you love or are in your family ditching Thanksgiving? I said some of the people you love or are in your family because you might not love them, but they're in your family. So how are you dealing with these political differences this Thanksgiving? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'm going to share some of the great little piece of advice from the psychiatrist about villainizing family members and what one psychiatrist said in an interview about this specific study. And then I have another little thing here, how to deal with politics this Thanksgiving. We actually have advice. All that next in the Chris Crock Show at 17 minutes after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Americans stressed about politics may skip Thanksgiving, survey found. All right. Oh, by the way, we mentioned this last week, but there's a woman in Fort Worth who told WFAA TV Channel 8 she had no shame. She sat it with a TV camera in front of her face. She said, I am leaving the country because Trump won. And she's going to live in two separate countries. She has two separate homes. And she said, I don't understand how people could vote for him. This economy's going great. There you have it. That's who the Democrats have become. A party of well-off, white, educated, highly educated, successful liberals who think the economy is great. I want these illegals. Somebody's got to mow my lawn and do my dishes and clean my house. Unbelievable. That's the shamelessness. I was telling my daughter about this over the weekend, kind of in passing, about something that involved inflation. I said, yeah. And I told her about this woman. And I said, can you believe that she would say that to a straight face to a camera and not be ashamed of it? I mean, wow, is she living on another planet? It's amazing. So imagine that that lady being one of your relatives at Thanksgiving. Holy gosh. It might be best for her not to come to Thanksgiving if she's that whacked out. Here's my question I'm asking you is, are you ditching Thanksgiving this year because of political differences? New survey shows 64% of Americans say election-related stress is impacting their holiday plans, 23% considering skipping altogether. My gosh. One psychiatrist advises against villainizing family members who choose not to attend gatherings. Stop villainizing them. What the heck is wrong with you? What? You're going to villainize somebody for not showing? No. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, they advise against villainizing family members. Oh, my gosh. I guess there's people that do that. I mean, dude, let it go. If somebody doesn't want to go because they have a psychological issue about Trump winning or whatever, that's their issue. Tell them, I'm sorry, we're going to miss you. And if you want to, laugh about it or whatever between you and your immediate family, like in your home, oh, my gosh, can you believe, well, it's terrible, Or, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me? But you don't say stuff to them. And then when everybody's over and they go, where is so-and-so? Oh, don't be rude either. Just say they weren't able to make it, whatever. Why not? Oh, you can ask them. Yeah, you don't want to villainize people. That's hysterical. Somebody has to be told not to villainize them. I know there's people that do. Yeah, so... Are you ditching Thanksgiving this year because of political differences? Don't you think this is unhealthy to do? And if we didn't do this for Joe Biden, if we didn't skip the holidays, which I certainly didn't, why would we do this for Trump? And how are you dealing with political differences this Thanksgiving? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Here is, look at this here. Don't villainize family members and who choose to attend gatherings due to political differences, especially in front of children. Oh, come on. We can't attack grandma because she didn't show up because Trump won in front of the children. Come on. Hey, kids, you know why grandma's not here? Because she lost the election because Trump won. Oh, no. I mean, come on. Can you imagine somebody saying that? Wow. Kids, pray for your uncle. He's not here. He's upset because Trump won.
In the case of families, these are people that we know and love and have known for a very long time. And I ask people to also think about their relationships with that individual that's deeper than their political beliefs. And, if we're not able to then talk about those beliefs without some irritability, anger, or hostility coming into the equation, then that's where our boundary needs to be drawn. And, certain topics, could be off limits.
That would be normal. That would be right. I just think it's interesting once again that I realized that, I didn't see these stories when Biden won, but that's okay, I guess, huh? All right, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. This is quite an interesting little one here. The Supreme Court will not hear a case of a woman here in North Texas, in McKinney, whose home was destroyed. It was ruined because a SWAT team busted in. I mean, they trashed the place. $60,000 worth of damage. Do you think her insurance paid for it? No. Do you think the city of McKinney, which is the city where this happened, the McKinney Police Department, the McKinney City Council, the McKinney mayor, whoever would have the ability to help make this happen, do you think they are going to pay for it since it's their police department? No. So no police department paying for it. No insurance paying for it. So you have to produce $60,000 to fix your house after being destroyed. And this is like, remember last National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation where the SWAT team busts into the house and comes through all the windows? They rappel off the side of the house into the windows from above, below, and they kick the door down. They bust the door down, and they surround Clark Griswold and his family, Clark W. Griswold III to be specific, and his family. And they say, freeze, nobody move. And Clark's wife has her hand in a conspicuous place, and she keeps it on there for the whole time with the guns are pointed there. It's a movie. It's funny. And, it was like that. Probably even worse, basically, because guess what else? They used the tear gas cans or tear gas grenades. Actually, there's nothing funny about it, but I mean, so she sued and she went all the way to the Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court. We'll tell you what they say on whether she can get her money from somebody. She didn't do anything wrong. She had nothing to do with the crime. That's coming up next on the Chris Crock Show. You hear the whole story, and we're going to talk about this. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Is it a crime to you or like a crime that's happened to you, to this poor woman? Is that a crime? Or just deal with it? Or, oh, well, I guess you got to come up with $60,000 on your own. Oh, boy. That's coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-9227 is our number. All right, this is a wild and crazy case, and I really feel for this family because they did literally nothing wrong. A McKinney resident named Vicky Baker in July of 2020, a contractor and handyman she knew broke into her former home off of Vista Verde Trail after kidnapping a 15-year-old girl, and he barricaded himself inside. So what this is, the relationship to her, is he is a contractor and a handyman that knew her, Miss Baker, the owner of the house. What she didn't know is that he was going to kidnap a 15-year-old girl and barricade himself inside of her home with him. She was not there. She had nothing to do with this, okay? She's an innocent victim. And this is from WFA TV Channel 8. The home was on the market at the time. Oh, gosh. Don't give a contractor access to your home unless you're living there. Or unless it's a company. If it's one person, you can be so screwed. Remember I told you about this? You might not remember. You may have missed it. I talked about squatting the other day because we have squatters. We still think they're in the vacant house across the street from us that's on the market. And We know that at this time they've already had I believe their full 3 days of notice on the door, and now it'll be reported to the constable, and the constable will remove them within 1.5 to 2.5 weeks. They'll be out. At that point by force, because the sheriff's deputies have to do that. But here's my point. There was another case that we talked about in San Antonio where, and it made the whole statewide news because it was a pretty big deal that it happened. They had a contractor at their house, and I think they were selling it or they were out of town or something. And he said, can I stay here while I'm doing this? And he was doing all this work on the house, and guess what? He really did stay. And so they tried to get him thrown out, and they're like, you have to evict him. You have to go through this process. And of course, what they do is they trash the place before they get kicked out. And let me tell you something else. The guy that I talked to that is in charge of the rental property that's in our neighborhood that I'm talking about, that's by our house, he said they always do it. He says what they do is they go through this all the time. And he said Fort Worth is the worst. He said they are the worst in Fort Worth is happening. As far as for how often this happens. And he says they will trash the place and they'll leave at midnight when no one's around, you know what I mean, to find him, to see him. And I totally believe that he's accurate in what he's going to find out. The point being is you really don't want people having access to your house if you're not living there. And so she was not living here. The house is on the market. All understandable. The contractor broke into the house, had kidnapped a 15-year-old and barricaded him aside. So now enters the McKinney police when the woman who owns the home, her relative called 911 and escaped. So I guess her relative was staying in the house. She escaped while the armed man remained in the house. Police surrounded the home and negotiated with the man, who complied but wouldn't surrender. This is from Channel 8 still. SWAT made its way inside using tear gas canisters and broke doors and a fence. Now, think of this like the Clark Griswold, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which is a must-watch every year, where they kick everything in. They have, scores of SWAT members kicking in and jumping in from every engine. But in this case, they shot in tear spray, tear gas canisters. Broke the doors, broke a fence. Home sustained about $60,000 worth of damage, she alleges. Her insurance company and the city both declined to pay for it. So she sued. In 2022, you know how these things take years to go through their way, especially getting to the Supreme Court. She sued in March 2021. In April 2022, she won a partial summary judgment in the district court level. Yay! But then in June 2022, a federal jury did rule she was entitled to $60,000 in damages. But after that, the city of McKinney could not stop appealing. Dude, come on. I mean, can't you see this woman did nothing wrong? Can't you let it go and say, oh, we lost the federal case, we're going to move on here? You keep appealing. How much money did they spend on lawyers to go through this point to this point? $60,000. Would you just, they don't want to have to pay for potential future stuff probably. Well, what you do is you say, dang, we lost. You're on the federal level. Dang, we lost. You pay it. A federal jury ruled she was entitled to $60,000, but after that, the city appealed the decision again. October of 2023, so she wins 2 in a row. In October 2023, a panel of Fifth Circuit reversed the lower court's decision. Do the judges at least feel like jerks for reversing it? How do you go home that night? Hey, honey, hopefully you don't have this happen to us because we'll be screwed because I just voted to not give her money. Oh! The full Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals declined en banc, which is where they have, is when you have when you have a Circuit Court of Appeals to do that, it's 3 randomly picked judges, and then en banc is where you ask for the whole bank, all of them. That way you've got maybe, I don't know how many, 10, 12 of them, which gives you better chances. The full Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals declined to rehear the case in February. I was hoping the Supreme Court would take up my case. So what happened to me would never happen to anyone else. So it's disappointing that they decided not to hear it. She said, if police can destroy my home and leave me with the bill, it can happen to anybody. The Supreme Court's decision is the final word because they said, no, we won't hear it. So that's it. The last, what that means is the last case stands, which is the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals out of New Orleans said no. That's it. That sucks. So I want to ask you some simple questions on this. First of all, the number is 800-288-WBAP. That's 800-288-9227. Is it a crime to you that this happened? And I'm saying, is it a crime? Is it not? Was a crime committed to her? But I'm saying, you know how there's like, oh, it's like that. That's it. You know, is this a crime to you? You know how we use that term? Is this a crime to you? What was done to her? Or do you view this as, just deal with it? Oh, well. Such is life. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Is it a crime to you that this happened to this poor woman, or just deal with it? Oh, well. 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. I would ask you if anything like this has ever happened to you, but I really doubt it. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe you stay in your house. If somebody comes in and they're like a violent felon trying to, head to a standoff, maybe you stay in your house and you do the job for the cops so you can do it quicker, dirtier, and less expensively. I don't know. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Now, that is absolutely crazy, isn't it? So I do think that woman, and of course you can answer this too. I'd like you to tell me if you think that woman was entitled to be paid by the city of McKinney. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Man, I really would like the city to pay it. It's not her fault. If it is her fault somehow, which Channel 8's reporting says it's not, if it is her fault somehow, then I would, of course, not want to do it. But if it's not her fault and some guy that happened to be working on her house came back and broke in and did that stuff, well, then, I don't know. What's the message? Maybe the message is don't hire a contractor that's going to kidnap a 15-year-old and break into your house and hold them hostage there. I don't know. How do you foresee that? Maybe she needs to get better contractors. See, this is it. Aha! This is why I paid all that money to the extra 20% or 30% to have a turnkey place do my massive addition. If you recall, my house, if it were a Catholic church, would have been called for 2 years. Our Lady of Perpetual Construction, blessed be her name, because we had nonstop construction for like 2 freaking years. Although it seems like a while ago that was, but nonetheless, it felt like it was forever. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3, we have a grab bag of fun stuff here. Did you hear about the war between the leftist hens on the View with Joe Rogan? There was a little war going on. Did you hear about that? Okay, I've got that for you. I have some audio and I have some reaction. It's good. It's fun. Also, does Joe Biden still believe that Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy? He was apparently asked that, and there's an answer for that. I have a response. And then this is really, I love Jeff Goldblum. Don't you love Jeff Goldblum? I love Jeff Goldblum. He's the coolest cat there is and the funniest guy. Jeff Goldblum's sons reveal what they want to inherit from their father when he dies. Wow. Putting dibs on everything now, huh? Has he got one foot in the grave? And a new theory about Barney the dinosaur, why men hate them. Why men hated Barney the dinosaur. And actor John Stamos is in trouble for how he portrayed himself when his co-star was delivering cancer news. What did he do in reaction to that? He thought he was helping. Another mountain lion sighting. Yes, they want us to believe it's the same freaking mountain lion who's doing appearances. You can book him. You can book the mountain lion. You can get the mountain lion to show up in your backyard. He's backed up for 2-3 months, but you can book him. He's in demand. I'll share that story with you next, and so much more. And how young is too young for a cell phone? I think I have the record from Sophia Richie, Lionel Richie's daughter. Yeah, it is. Okay. Wait till you hear how old her child is, and they have a phone, and wait till you hear how old they are. Yes, did you hear about this? It's freaking great. Oh my gosh, it's great. What the heck? All that next on the Chris Crock Show at News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Oh, yes. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Joe Rogan's withering response to The View host claiming that he can't be trusted, but they can. Here it is. Listen to this. The hens with their barking, clapping seals in the audience. What Joy Behar says about Joe Rogan.
Walter Cronkite, basically to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple force that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did. So this is the type of really, really bad information that's going out.
You know, Trump's interview with him had 90 million views. Between Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube. And they made fun. So anyways, here's what's great. He tweeted out on Twitter, he says, that's my new official description on Twitter. He changed his description. You know how it's got your name and then, whatever. Like mine says the official Twitter feed of radio talk show host Chris Crock, His says Dragon Believer. He changed it to 2 words, Dragon Believer. That was the funniest thing in the world. I love that. Dragon Believer, it is. Yes, the White House says that Joe Biden still believes that Trump is an existential threat. Corinne Jean-Pierre, who's going to be out of a job in a few months, is going. Can you imagine if they give her a show too? That would be that'll tank in 6 months. It'll be yanked. She was asked about this. His early description saying he's an existential threat, and the answer is absolutely yes. He still feels that Trump is an existential threat. He is a threat to democracy. And she says, I've been asked about the existential threat. I've been asked about a threat to our democracy. The president is always going to be honest with the American people. It's what he still stands for. We are now in a different place, blah, blah, blah. But, he still thinks he's an existential threat. So there you go. Guys, the existence of our country and our world, our very world, is going to blow up and go bye-bye, apparently. Jeff Goldblum's sons reveal what they want to inherit from their father when he dies. This guy, nobody... kind of makes me laugh and fascinates me more than somebody like Jeff Goldblum. Because he's a serious actor. Did you see the movie The Fly, which is like the 80s? That is an incredible movie. I saw it way back when. It was incredible. He's this mad scientist guy with experiments, then he becomes he turns into a fly or whatever. It's like a horror sci-fi type thing. It is. So he does these serious things. In Jurassic Park, he does a semi-serious thing, right? But he also does these interviews with Conan O'Brien, and he's just, he's ridiculously over the top, fascinating, weird, and all that. I love this guy. He tells personal stories. They're really good, not the tacky, crappy ones that most of the celebrities share. So he's 72 years old, has 2 boys. He's got 2 boys and a wife, and they look very normal, which is very good, and I'm not surprised for that. So 2 little boys, Charlie and River, and they go through my closet and say, "When can I have this when we die?" So we have that conversation, and it doesn't seem like a big deal to them. His kids are, she's 41, he's 72. They can't be that young. Anyway, so one of the folks wants a watch, a Rolex watch, is what one of them say. And, he's got a $40 million fortune. That's interesting. And he doesn't want the children to rely on his $40 million income, his fortune. One wants a watch. I think the other one said they wanted a scarf of some kind. It was really weird. A Cartier watch piece is what one. The other one's a Rolex, apparently. So I guess that's what they want. But more interesting is Jeff Goldblum himself. Wild new theory claims men hated Barney the dinosaur because he offered up a different model for masculinity. Okay, these people are so stupid, aren't they? I think we hate Barney because he was stupid and annoying. I mean, some of these shows that I watched with my kids when they were little were good. Wiggles I enjoyed. I did. That Yo Gabba Gabba was bizarre and kind of weird pedo vibes, but that was okay. So a lot of the stuff that was on at the time, I can't remember the names of any of them, but most of the stuff was tolerable. Barney is horrible. And there's nothing about masculinity. It's stupid. That's all. It's just stupid and annoying. He was hated by men because he offered up a different model of masculinity. A bold new theory has claimed. Get out of here. A media studies professor. That's it. That's media studies professor. Men are threatened by a purple guy. No. John Stamos slammed for wearing bald cap. He had a fake bald cap on that made him look like he was bald, like an actor would, with his Full House co-star Dave Collier amid cancer news. People attacked the crap out of him. That's not how you support by making yourself. He wrote in the caption, nothing like throwing on a bald cap and flexing some Photoshop skills to some love and solidarity with my brother. Da-da-da-da-da. He's got stage 3 lymphoma battle, and he praised him with so much strength and positivity. But people said they attacked him for it. I'm sorry, as a breast cancer survivor, this is not support. This is a joke. Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's not how you support us. Hey, John Stamos, just don't pretend like you got cut off breasts. This isn't show that in your next thing. Okay, please, dude. All right. Another one slammed him. Why the ball cap? You could have supported your friend without pretending to shave your head. And if my friend did this to me, I would be so offended. I mean, look at me with my fake bald head that I can take off whatever I want. Come on, John, shave it, said another. Isn't that great? Shaming him. Shame! Shame!